Most people speak to protect their image. They explain, they justify, they rush to be understood. But silence is not a weakness. It is a refusal to trade dignity for approval. Silence does not mean there is nothing inside. It often means there is too much clarity to waste on noise. The Stoic does not rush to fill the air, not out of fear, but out of self-respect. Because when words are given too easily, the mind becomes cheap, and the self becomes exposed. Silence keeps the center intact. Speech is often automatic, a reflex, a habit of responding. It happens before a thought becomes clear, a comment is made, a message arrives, a tone shifts, and the mind reaches outward to correct, to defend, to prove something. But self-respect begins where reflex ends. The Stoic notices the impulse to speak and does not follow it immediately. Silence becomes a pause, not an empty pause, a conscious one. A pause where attention returns inward, where the mind asks, what is actually happening? Silence has weight because it is rare. Most people treat words like currency they spend without counting. They speak to stay relevant, to stay visible, to stay safe. But every unnecessary word pulls energy away from the self. It feeds the need for reaction. The Stoic speaks carefully because he understands cost, not social cost, internal cost. When you speak without direction, your mind becomes scattered. When you remain silent, the mind gathers itself. And what is gathered is harder to disturb. Self-respect is not pride. It is order. It is knowing where you begin and where others end. Silence protects that line. Not everything deserves access to you. Not every opinion deserves a reply. To speak into every moment is to live without boundaries. The Stoic chooses boundaries that do not need to be announced. Silence becomes one of them. A quiet signal that your inner life is not public property. That your calm is not available for anyone to shake. That your worth is not negotiable. There is a space between what happens and what you do. Many people do not notice it. They live inside reaction. Something is said, they answer. Something is implied, they defend. Something feels disrespectful, they strike back with words. But the Stoic protects that space. He stays there longer than most. In that space, emotion slows down. Judgment becomes clearer. Silence keeps the moment from closing too quickly. It keeps you from becoming a servant to your first feeling. And that is self-respect in its simplest form. Silence is a form of observation. When you do not speak, you can see more. You notice the shape of a conversation, the hidden intention, the insecurity behind the noise. Many people reveal themselves without realizing it. They speak to control, to impress, to provoke. Silence gives them room to show what they are carrying. The Stoic watches without needing to comment. He does not rush to label. He lets events unfold without interfering with his own peace. Silence becomes a kind of lens. It makes things sharper, and it keeps your mind clean. A person who must respond to everything is not free. Freedom begins when you can leave a moment unanswered. Most arguments are invitations, not to truth, but to ego. To speak back is often to accept the invitation. Silence declines it, not aggressively, not with contempt, quietly. Self-respect does not require constant participation. It recognizes when the mind is being pulled into something unnecessary, and it stays where it belongs, inside its own control. Silence is restraint. Restraint is not repression. Repression hides emotion and lets it rot. Restraint feels emotion clearly and refuses to let it drive. The Stoic does not deny irritation. He simply does not give it a microphone. A sharp reply may feel satisfying, but it usually creates more noise. Silence lets the feeling pass without becoming a public event. It preserves dignity, because dignity is not a performance. It is a stable state, and stability cannot be built through impulse. It is built through withholding. Many people explain themselves because they fear being misunderstood. They try to manage perception as if perception were control, but perception belongs to others. The Stoic does not chase it. He understands that misunderstanding is part of life. Silence accepts this without bitterness. It refuses to beg for accurate interpretation. Self-respect means knowing that your inner life does not need constant translation. Your actions will speak over time. Your character will reveal itself without your effort. Silence trusts that, and trust is calm. In a loud world, silence feels uncomfortable. Not because silence is wrong, but because noise has become normal. People fill every gap with words. They fear pauses because pauses expose them. Silence reveals the mind as it truly is, restless, seeking, needing. The Stoic stays with that discomfort, not to overcome it, not to conquer it, but to understand it. Silence teaches what noise hides, and self-respect grows where truth is faced quietly. Silence also protects integrity. When you speak too often, you begin to perform. You adjust yourself to fit the room. You say what sounds right instead of what is true. But silence removes the need to maintain an image. It allows you to remain consistent in every environment. The Stoic is careful with language because language shapes the mind. When words are controlled, thought is controlled. And when thought is controlled, life becomes cleaner. Self-respect appears as alignment, not as display. Silence is not empty. It is full of attention. It is the mind listening before it chooses. In daily life, this is simple. A message unanswered immediately. A comment allowed to pass. A reaction postponed. Small moments where the self remains unprovoked. The Stoic does not need to win every exchange. He prefers clarity over victory. Silence supports that preference. It keeps the mind from being dragged into the endless need to prove something. Self-respect prefers quiet control to noisy confidence. Over time, silence becomes a form of identity, not as a pose, not as coldness, as steadiness. People notice it even when nothing is said. They sense that you are not easily moved, that you do not fight for attention, that you do not bargain for respect. Silence becomes a kind of presence. It shows that you can stand alone without anxiety, that you can hold your center without constant reinforcement. Self-respect is felt in what you do not chase and in what you do not answer. Silence does not solve everything. It does not guarantee peace, but it keeps something private. The part of you that does not need to be touched by every passing moment. The Stoic knows that dignity cannot be argued into existence. It can only be lived, often quietly, often unseen. Silence does not complete the thought. It leaves it open, still, unresolved, and intact.